Hello friends, I am Dr. Suchita Vishwakarma, Assistant Professor, Department of Management, School of Management Sciences, Lucknow. Welcome you all to the series of lectures on supply chain and logistics management. Students, our today's topic is warehousing strategy. If you all remember that in the previous class we had discussed about what is warehouse, the concepts and the various types. We had also understood that why warehouses are so very important for any organization, and we had understood that keeping all kind of inventory is not actually practically possible or cost effective also for any organization. So warehousing provides lot of facilities, lot of different kind of functions which facilitate any of the organization for providing their products to the customer and increasing their sales and profitability also. So over here we need to understand that how any organization needs to choose or think or rather plan that what kind of warehousing strategy they should have. That means what kind of warehouse they should have and what are the different various aspects which will help them not only increase their profit but also gain competitive advantage from their competitors. So this is what we are going to discuss today in our this present lecture, that is warehousing strategy. So let's get started about it. So warehousing strategy, as you can see that warehousing strategy involves planning or taking decisions about the various important aspects such as investments and operations costs that makes up the logistics overhead. In the previous class also we had discussed about that warehouse are big facilities where any of the organization can choose and think of keeping their products safely for a long, maybe for a medium term or a short term, and it has lot of facilities which helps in proper loading, unloading and stacking up of material, and it also helps in transportation purpose also. So for all these purposes, students, you need to understand that lots of cost is involved, and this cost may or may not be very much of choice of the company. That means the company may not be very much interested in spending lot of money on warehouse, and so they need to think that how I can reduce the cost of warehouse and also avail the maximum benefit from the warehouse too. So that is what we are going to discuss about it. So the warehouse strategies try to address following questions. Let us understand one by one that how many warehouse should an organization employ. This is one very important aspect that needs to be understood by any organization. The second question that the warehousing strategy should address to is which type of warehouse, because in our previous class we had discussed the 5 types of warehouse. So an organization must understand that what is the type of warehouse they should choose. The third is warehousing location. What are the strategic or remote locations where they should choose to have their warehouses. The site selection is something important, because what is the place or what is the area where they want to have their warehouse. Facilities required, what are the different facilities, as we discussed that that warehouses provide various kind of functions, packaging function, labeling function, protection, storage, cold warehouses. So what are the facilities required by the particular organization, and the warehouse layout too. I mean the internal structure of warehouse or the shelves or the spacing, that is also very important aspect for any organization to think and plan that what is that they are looking for. So let us come on each one of them one by one. Now we will just understand that before a company actually chooses a warehouse, they should think of that what are the number of warehouse they are looking for. Any organization may opt for single warehouse or multiple warehouse, but obviously both of them have different kinds of cost and benefits. So let us understand them. That single or centralized warehouse are simple infrastructures. Obviously having one warehouse will obviously lead to reduced of cost incurring also, but there would be a problem also. I mean the there would be only limitation of inventory to be kept in that particular warehouse. However, at the same time it will be easy to manage. So, if that means if any organization is operating in a small geographical area, then probably they can opt for single warehouse or centralized warehouse where they can keep their inventory and then get them distributed to or distributed to all the nearby locations of that small geographical area. But if an organization is operating in a large geographical area and their suppliers or distributors are distantly placed, then probably single warehouse will not function over here, will not serve the purpose. And so, in that case, the organization may opt for multiple warehouse or decentralized warehouse. In this, as the concept itself explains that it will have a spread in wider geographical area, and since there will be multiple warehouse, the cost involved will increase per warehouse kind of, but then uh, the company will get an option to keep small amount of inventories in all these different multiple warehouses, and that may lead to lower shipping cost also, because the cost of transportation will also get reduced with the volume of shipment that is done. There will be faster shipment will also become easy, because smaller transportation modes can be opted of in that case. Lower vendor transportation cost will also be there in case of multiple warehouse, and less stock vulnerability. That means if in case at any particular warehouse the stocks get stocked out, or there is a damage or some problem, then since because of less stocks at a particular warehouse, there will be more of flexibility also, and reduced risk also. So, depending on the various factors or the objectives of the organization, any organization may think of the number of warehouses. Now, coming to the type of warehouse, as we had discussed, there are 5 types of warehouse, and all the different types of warehouses have different functions. So, an organization may choose from any type of warehouse. So, over here many firms use a combination of private, public and contract facility of warehouse. A private or contract facility may be used to cover basic year-round requirement, while public facility may be used to handle the increase and decrease during the increase and decreased inventory requirement to be stocked at peak seasons. In other situations also, central warehouse may be private, while market area or field warehouses can be kept as a public facility. Full warehouse utilization throughout a year is a remote possibility. So, it is ideal for any organization to keep a combination of the different types of facility depending on the requirements and depending on the business cycle of the product. As a planning rule also, a warehouse design or facility utilization will be fact and fully, and most of the time it has been seen that any warehouse is only 75 to 85% of utilized, and thus from 15 to 25% of the time the space of the warehouse is not properly utilized. So, this is also one of the considerations not to have a private warehouse completely if you have a dynamic requirement of the product. Then in such situations it may be efficient to provide a private facility to cover 75% of the requirement and use public facilities to accommodate peak demand. So, over here we understand that depending on the kind of product offering to the customer and depending on the kind of demand, that means if my demand is very stable, then I may look forward for keeping one kind of warehouse, but if I know that the demand goes up and down or is dynamic, then obviously a combination of warehouse is more preferable. Now, addressing to the third question, that is where the warehouse should be located. So, any organization has 3 options. The first is market position, second is product position, and third is intermediately positions. So, let us see the facilities or the benefits of having all these 3 kind of positioning. The market position is that In this, the order cycle time will be less, because if the warehouse is placed, market position means that the warehouse will be placed, will be available, or will be present at a place which is near to the market area. That means if that means the buyers are close by that particular warehouse. So if the warehouse is near to market, obviously the order cycle time will get reduced. That means whenever they are ordering the particular product, the inventory will soon reach them, and that will lead to one competitive advantage. The second is transportation cost will also get reduced, because obviously the company would be obviously required to send the material to the warehouse, but then from warehouse to different buyers, the smaller transportations will be required, smaller I mean uh, d- smaller routes of transportation will be required, and so that will lead to reduction of cost. Sensitivity of product is also, if the product is very sensitive to let's say sensitive to demand or sensitive to price, and there may be instances when a lot of variations in demand are coming due to XYZ factors, then obviously then also the company should think of having a warehouse at marketplace, near the marketplacing. And in order to break the size of the order also, the company should strategically think of keeping the warehouse at the market, because in that if the company is having the warehouse near the market, then obviously they can provide the products in small quantities as per the requirement of the customer. So these are the various benefits of having a market position warehouse. Now coming to product position. In case of product position, the focus is more on product rather than customer. And if I feel that the product offering is something which is of perishable quality, and then probably I may think of not having different or many warehouses, because each warehouse may not be providing me with the facility of cold storage or such kind of things. And so in that case, the focus is more on product rather than market. The number of product mix is also one of the aspects where the warehousing location gets shifted from market position to product position, because if I have a larger mix of product offering, then there may be instances that all kind of customers are not wanting to have that complete kind of product mix from me, not wanting to purchase that or order the complete product mix from me. So in that case, I should be at such a strategic location from where I can serve a bigger area of buyers, and from where they can collect. I mean, somebody may collect larger product mix, somebody may collect a smaller product mix from me, and so the focus shifts to product positioned warehouse. The third is assortment order by customer from product mix. As I said, assortment order by customer from product mix means they should be able to identify, know what kind of products or what are the different kinds of products offerings, and then accordingly select as per their own choices. And transportation consolidation rates. If I have suppliers from remote locations, then also probably it will be easy for me to have a centralized kind of warehouse at one strategic location, so as to serve as a common point, common juncture for all the different suppliers to consolidate their products at one place. And then the third warehousing location option available to any company is intermediately positioned. That means a company may then may after that think of having the warehouse at any immediate position. It may be near to the distributor, it may be near to the highways for ease of transportation, or anywhere in such a manner. That means any place in between the point of production and the point of consumption. So it may be their choice that what is the kind of perspective or what is the objective that they are looking for in warehousing location. Now coming to the next point, that is where the site of the warehouse should be. So over here, as we can say that the site selection is based on the location of major markets, nature of product to be distributed, transportation mode and carriers, quality and quantity of laborers available, cost of industrial land, potential for expansion, local tax structures, cost of construction, cost and availability of utilities, and any local government concession or incentives. This basically means that whenever I am choosing a particular site where I should have I shall have a private warehouse, or maybe the warehouse should basically help me in distributing and collecting my supplies, and also give me advantage not only in terms of cost but in terms of value benefits also. So over here various concepts come in consideration. That means if the places are, if the warehouse location is near the major markets, then probably I will be able to serve the requirements of various customers simultaneously. The nature of product, which we had already discussed, whether it is perishable, non-perishable, big or small in size, and the transportation requirements, the mode of transportation requirement. If I have such products which are not of consumption in the local area and has to be transported to any other city, town, or maybe any other country, then the warehouse site should be near to those yards, dockyards or airports. Then the cost of industrial land, this is very important, because this plays very important role in the cost of warehouse. If the industrial land is very costly, then any person may think of shifting the warehouse if privately owned, or I mean if thinking of having a privately owned, or even in case of public or cooperative kind of warehouse, setting up of that warehouse will become very costly, and so cost of industrial land has to be taken in consideration. Local taxes, the subsidies given by the government, local government or the central state level government or the central government also plays a lot of role. Then availability of cheap labor is also very important aspect, because if the warehouse site is somewhere near to village or such areas where the habitants are available, where there is residents are there, where the laborers are residing nearby, then probably I can get a continuous flow of laborers for loading, unloading and various other purposes. But if I am not so, then probably recruiting people from distant location will also become a task, and that will also become a costly affair. So at each and every time the company must take consideration of the cost aspect at each and every point. Now coming to the warehouse layout. The objective of warehouse layout are basically to provide enough storage for the inventories, and also to have enough working space for staffs to move and to complete their task. As we had already discussed in our previous lecture also, that warehouses provide various kind of functions. And just to recapitulate, that the functions include, the packing, the labeling, the assortment, the identification, the recording, the keeping record of the inventories and everything. So it is very important that the warehouse internal layout is arranged, that means the keeping of the stacking of inventory, or the internal layout is done in such a systematic manner that it does not create a constraint or hurdle in the daily working of the people involved. That means they have a sufficient space that loading, unloading purposes can be done also, and identification of what kind of inventory is also kept where, that is also done. Packaging and labeling is also done, and there is sufficient space. That means all the inventories are not stacked up haywire, but are kept properly so as to reduce damage. So the layout should be very well planned. The usual layouts of any warehouse are U, I or L shaped, depending on the volumes and the type of products that are kept in that particular warehouse. As over here you can see, this is a U kind of warehouse. Over here the advantage is that simultaneously lots of trucks can be called for, and loading and unloading of lots of inventories can be done over here. In case of I kind of I shaped of warehouse, it is easy that loading and unloading is done from one end, while the shipping and dockyarding or something is done from the other end. That means I kind of structure is usually used when the warehouses provide a function of in case of bonded warehouse, where it serves as a purpose of providing multiple modes of transportation. And then coming to L shaped of warehouse, over here you can see that the trucks are placed over here, the shipping and picking up of the material is done, and the loading unloading is done separately. That means the organization has kept two ways from one way, has channelized the routes rather. That means one for the loading purpose, and other for the unloading purpose. Now coming to the facilities required in warehouse, there are various kinds of facilities required in the warehouse. The facilities may again be dependent on the kind of product which has to be kept in the warehouse, and these facilities includes the storage system, the lift equipments, the dock equipments, the conveyor belts, the facility equipments, bins, containers, packing equipments. So, storage system basically, the storage facility basically means the wide shelves, the wide and the high heighted shelves, which are basically used to keep different kind of inventories on which stacking can be done properly. Lift equipments are basically helped for stacking the inventories, the packets, the boxes at a higher height. Dock equipments are basically those which helps in shifting of the inventory which is kept in the warehouse from the shelf to the dockyard or the loading to the unloading or unloading position. Conveyor belts are basically kind of big belts on which are very commonly seen on the in the assembly line also, and otherwise on the warehouse also, where movement of inventories within the warehouse itself happens, through which the movement of inventories within the warehouse itself happens. Then other facility equipments basically means the fire extinguishers, the recording facility, the cameras, the computers, or any other kind of facility equipments. Bins and containers for disposing of any undesirable inventory. And then the packaging equipment and machinery, which basically means that all the things that are required for different kind of packing for different kind of inventories. So, because size and functionality differ so much in warehouse buildings, the type of equipment needed for smooth operations may also vary at times. So, over here we also need to understand the factors influencing warehouse strategy. The five functions, the five factors that influence the warehouse strategy are presence synergy, industry synergy, operating flexibility, location flexibility, and scale of economies. Presence synergy basically means that if a warehouse is present near the production unit, it will not only reduce the cost of carrying the inventory within the warehouse, but it will also help in following the concepts of JIT also, and will also help in maintaining a proper supply of raw material at the desired assembly line positions, and will also help in it will also help in increasing the productivity and efficiency of the organization. Then industry synergy means basically that when two, three organizations within the same industry are collaborating together and trying to have a mutual advantage or mutual benefit of having a warehouse near to that particular location, near to their production units or near to their location. Because through that they will be able to optimize the warehouse capacity also, properly utilize the warehouse capacity also, and will be able to help them reduce the cost of warehousing for all of them. Operating flexibility is the ability to adjust internal policies and procedures. That means if an organization is having, let's say, is producing in batch form, or is producing their goods in customized form, then obviously they will require to have a lot of flexibility that what is the kind of raw material or supplies that they require at this position, and which they may require at a later position. If there is a variation in that, then obviously this is then the warehouse is required for providing such flexibilities, which would come under operating flexibility. Location flexibility is the ability to quickly adjust warehouse location and numbers. That means if an organization has, again I said, it has different kinds of demands, then probably there is say different set of customers are there, and if the company is producing different kinds of products also, then it may be situations that I am serving such certain customer segment at present location, at present duration of the year, and then there is another kind of product which I would be producing in next 3-4 after 3-4 months, and then for which other set of customers are there. So that means the company will be required to have a location which is flexible to the different flexible demands of the customer, flexible demands of the company, and so location flexibility is very much required. Then scale of economies, that means ability to reduce handling and storage through applications of advanced technology. This is also very important aspect. Now coming to the factors influencing strategy, over here we can see that depending on the different types of warehouses, the synergies are in different manner. That means the presence synergy is more in case of private, while in case of industry synergy, the public warehouses are play a significant role. Similarly, the operating flexibility is more in case of private warehouse, while it is more the facility or the benefit of having a public warehouse provides a facility of location flexibility and scale economies. So over here we are over with this particular topic of warehousing strategy. I hope by understanding this topic in detail, you would be now able to manage warehouses, and you will be able to help your organization in proper decision making related to what and how and where the warehouse needs to be strategically thought about and positioned. So for further information, you can go to these websites and refer to these books. Thank you.